indigenous Igbo people of Benue State are found primarily in two local government areas of Benue State in the southern senatorial district, namely Ado and Oju local government areas. In Ado, they are found in 5 out of the 10 wards, namely Ulaye, Ekile, Ejigban, Igumale 2, and Akoge, Ojo, Ogboilolo, and Oju local government area. They dominate one ward, Idele, out of 11 wards in the area. The Igbo of Benue belong to the Eza, Izi, Ezangbo, and Efium tribes. In Ado local government area, there are 140 political polling units, with the Igbo-speaking population occupying over 50 of such posts. In general, the Igbo polling units tends to have greater voters registration compared to their Idoma counterparts. Using this fact as guide, we can estimate the population of the Igbo people of the local government area. It is no less than 90,000 out of the 184,000 people enumerated in the local government area in 2006, or about half the population. For Oju local government area, Igbos dominate only Idele ward, with little presence elsewhere. We can estimate that about 1/10 of the local government population is Igbo. When we add these figures, which is 15,000, when we add these figures up, we get a population of 105,000 Igbos occupying their homeland in Benue State, and that is about 2.5% of the population of Benue State, or 1% out of 40 residents in that state according to the 2006 census. This should have grown to over 140,000 people by the end of 2019. The land area occupied by the Igbo is about 500 kilometers square, Ado 400 kilometers square, and Oju 100 kilometers square. It is important to know that Ado has 5 districts, namely Utonko, Apa Agila, Ugumale, Ijigban, Ikile, and Ulaye. Apart from Utonko and Apa Agila, Igbos dominate Ulayi and Ijigban, Ikile, and make up a substantial chunk of Igumale. In the area of economy, the economy is dominated by agriculture, and the area lies in the heart of the rich agricultural Benue Ebonyi Cross River belts. Among the produce found in abundance are yams, cassava, soybean, palm oil, fruits, vegetables, maize, and many others. Interestingly, the raising of goats, sheep, and cattle of the Muturu tape are major occupation, making this area an important source of food. And because of the fertility of the soils and the industry of the people, the largest market in the locality have developed. The Ikari Inikiri market is the largest market in the whole of the local government area, and is an important source of IGR through market fees and levies. Other markets of considerable size in the area include Ida and Idokwe markets. Though there is little or no exploration of minerals in the area, the geological location of this area in the mineral rich lower Benue through indicates that the area might be mineral rich. And according to history, the Benue Igbo are primarily of Eza, Izi, Ezangbo, and Efium stock, who began to arrive the area in the early 1800. This rapid expansion and remarkable mobility of the Izi, and especially the Eza people, meant that the country was settled very rapidly, mainly for farming and hunting activities. The expansion of the northeastern Igbo had been a topic that has been discussed by several historians such as Professor Elizabeth Isichei, Professor Adele Afigbo, and others. Thus, the idea that the Benue Igbo are tenants is far from being the truth. They are settled on their lands, their homelands. They had been settled on these lands prior to colonial rule, and there is no evidence that they paid royalty to the Idoma and Igede. In that period, there were lots of displacements and population movements. The Igede pushed south to parts of Cross River State, and the Idoma, who originally occupied much of what is now Tiv land, pushed to different directions, some moving to Cross River State and Ete in Enugu, and nobody calls them tenants in those areas. Remnants of the Idoma people are the Etulo, now in the heart of Tiv land, and communities belonging to Igede, which had been lumped to Konshisha and Gwe East local government area, part of TV land. If there is any group which is almost certain to be the aborigines of the area, that should be scattered communities of Ukele people, and this explains why there are Ukele-speaking enclaves in parts of the present Ebonyi state, such as the Mezi and Okpoto. The Utonko were also believed to had left their homeland somewhere in the present Ebonyi and moved north due to pressure by the so-called Abakaliki Igbos. Eza, Izi, Ngbo, and Ikwo. The Untoko today are grouped as Idoma, but the fact is that they don't speak Idoma at all. Their language, Ufia, is a dialect of a Ukele. The F1 probably were originally Ukele people who did not move out and were assimilated into the Igbo population before colonial rule. This yet again proves that the Benue Igbo people are occupying their lands. Interestingly, many Utonkom people connect themselves with the Effium, Okpoto, and Tezi enclaves, and by expansion, the Igbo rather than the Idoma, which administrative convenience had imposed on them. Among the clans, the Eza being dominant are Umwezukoha, Uriozo, Umughara, Ameka, Amezekwe, and so on. These major clans have dispersed settlements numbering over 300, many developing as farm camps. Many often wonder how come these Abakaliki Igbos of Benue are marginalized, considering their substantial numbers, over 105,000 according to the 2006 census, or 2.5% of Benue State. The reason is simple. Ado was originally grouped as one unit along with Okpoku and Ogbadibo local government areas. If we combine the population of these three local governments, we have about 490,000 people according to the 2006 census, and with only 90,000 people, or just 18% of the population, one gets a clearer picture of how the said state of development of these Benue Igbo communities began. They did not carry much political weight. They were just seen as a far-flung people with power base of what will be defined as a Ado local government area centered on the towns of Utonko, Agila, and Igumali. Thus, the political elite destined to run Ado local government area was not nurtured in Benue Igbo area. The missionaries also did not penetrate early enough, unlike Utonko, Ugumali, and Agila. In the old Okpoku local government, now new Okpoku, Ogbadibo, and Ado, the Igbo were not given their districts, rather they were distributed and lumped to districts politically dominated by the Idoma, and since they were cut off often by infrastructure and the people being largely uneducated then, one understands why it still dominates how Ado is organized till now. The result is that schools and hospitals are largely absent in Benue Igbo areas. Roads, water supply, and electricity do not exist. The Ado local government area authorities only seem to remember them when it comes to collection of levies and taxes in their markets. The same scenario is observed in Oju local government area. In the past, Oju and Obi local government areas were grouped together as Igede homeland, and the smaller Igbo population here, mainly at Idele, then was even less significant. But strangely, despite their less significant population in Oju among the Igede, there is evidence to prove that they are better treated than their Ado counterparts, with political representation and sense of belonging. Okay, these are the history of what Benue Igbo are indigenous people and not immigrants. And this is coming from this article is coming from Osita Imodi Library, Benue Igbo Union. Okay, Osita Imodi Library. So guys, let us hear your opinion concerning this history. These are history that, at some point in time is disjointed, and that is why in Nigeria today, I don't know why they are trying to carve out history. Of course, they say they are bringing it, but even if they are going to bring history, as with the history be taught the way it ought to be taught, they say they are going to bring it. Whether they have started is a different ball game entirely, and that is why a lot of people, we don't even know where we are coming from. We don't even know where we are going to. Oh, this one will say this one will say that one. But we still have some people who are still keeping these records, because it's a long thing. So guys, let's say your opinion if you agree with this article concerning the Igbo Benue relationship. Thank you.